Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am joined today by Jamie Phillips, and I'm joined by Callum. How are we doing today, gents?
Good,
I'm
bro.
all right.
Good.
I'm all right.
Good.
I've had better days. Found out Valentina cheating on me. But,
I heard
Yeah.
Mackenzie Dern's on the next prelims as well.
Oh,
she might be
Yeah.
next in the DMs as well. Who knows?
Your words, not mine.
yeah. Well, in today's video, we'll be discussing Dana White's comments on the Pat MacAfee podcast about Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. And we'll also be discussing where is this UFC 300 main event announcement. And then we'll also touch on if we think the UFC product has declined. But before we get into the video, make sure to hit the like button, share button, and subscribe button. And subscribe to Jamie and Callum's channel in the link in the title if YouTube decides to work. But if not, the links will be in the description. So Pat McAfee had Dana White on the podcast, and he asked, when is the event happening? And this is the quote. Hopefully this year. There is no date right now. I'm hoping for the fall. We get it done in the fall. So I'll start off with you, Jamie. Is this fight happening?
The
Because
fall.
I feel like he's putting him on ice.
Yeah, the fall. I mean, yeah, they fall back autumn, ain't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, spring ain't fall as well. 'Cause you can fall forward as well. Americans help you out. What's that? September time then?
Yeah.
September, October time.
Yeah.
That's a long wait. When Connor's ready.
He's been ready since October because he did an interview in October saying he is itching, he's ready to go. It's not him that's holding things up. It's the UFC that's been holding up his return. And it's but they're not holding up him, they're holding up Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler
2 years almost.
he's gonna be 37 by the time he steps into
And
the
Chandler's
octagon.
ready. Chandler's always for a fight ready. So
Yeah.
I don't know why they're waiting that long. You know, I don't know what, we know we've got International Fight Week. We thought at first that would be where, Conor would probably come back on because that sort of made sense. Obviously, the UFC 300 show where Dana seemed to have forgotten all about it and he's trying to book it late notice. It makes no sense why you wait. I don't know why you wait that long. That's a long wait. I don't understand it. I don't think it benefits either fighter. It makes people lose interest. I think people by October time, September time, people will lose interest in McGregor fight. I think they'll be like, ain't too long now.
I've got a theory.
I don't know. What's your theory, Kel?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Check me out here. So they're in the process of negotiating a new deal with ESPN. If Conor fights before the negotiations come to the point where they need to sign the deal, let's say Conor fights at 300 and gets absolutely smashed, and then potentially retires.
One fight left on his deal after that. He's got 2 fights left.
One, he's got 1 fight left on his deal. 2, if he gets smashed, he's not the pay-per-view draw potentially he was before. That means the negotiation power from the UFC is hindered a little bit. Not just that, UFC 300 is a stat card and people are going to buy it. UFC 299 is a stat card and people are going to buy it. The last few cards Conor McGregor's been on, if I'm not mistaken, the actual cards themselves have not been stacked because they know Conor McGregor is such a big star that they can get away with putting on an average card with his name at the top of the bill and still break records. For them, from a business standpoint, there's no point having a stat card with Conor at the top, because if you've got a stat card with Conor on the top, think of how many pay-per-view points you're going to have to pay out to other fighters who are on the card, other champions, other fighters who get pay-per-view points. If you stick him on a card with, and no disrespect, with fighters ranked between 15 to 6,
or even unranked,
who don't get pay-per-view points, and Conor gets pay-per-view points, because I don't think Chandler gets pay-per-view points, then they're going to kill it in the box office and they're going to save money with the pay-per-view points. It makes no sense from a business standpoint, them putting Conor on 300.
And I've just realised, Sank, as well. So this might have, and you said the fall, yeah? So the fall September in America, yeah? So the other day, I don't know if you heard about this, guys. So ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery are forming a joint venture, ain't they, to launch a brand new sports streaming service.
Bloody hell.
So that's going to be massive. So Warner Brothers Discovery, if anyone knows, Warner Brothers Discovery owns TNT and all that sort of stuff, yeah. And Fox and ESPN. So they're going to be doing a joint venture to launch a streaming sports service in the US just for sport, and that comes in the fall of 2024. Now, are TKO and UFC looking at it and thinking, if we're going to be the debut MMA show on that new sports franchise, then the main event has got to be Conor, and it's got to have Conor McGregor in it, ain't it?
Cha-ching!
If it makes money, it makes sense. And especially after the scandal with He Who Shall Not Be Named, it's a bit of a cloud over that as well. What a better way to sort of push that to one side thing than basically bringing back McGregor to open this new venture. I didn't know about that for that venture, but it makes sense that they're keeping him on ice. But I would have to counteract that, as which you said to what you said earlier, Jamie, that if they are doing that, him coming back against Chandler, that's not going to be the fight. It's going to get people. Yeah, McGregor's fighting Chandler, but we should have seen this fight about a year ago, and now Chandler's 37. McGregor literally, if McGregor gets smoked on that on the debut, people are going to lose interest because McGregor is the UFC's last remaining superstar. Because once he goes, there are no other superstars left. And even you could probably say McGregor's star power has, I would say, after the Dustin third fight has dropped dramatically because of his out of octagon antics, the fact he has been injured, people accusing him of being juicy, and on his recovery. So I do feel like that his star power has dipped, but if he was to get smashed on in the fall, the UFC star power drops because he's their only biggest star left.
Another theory on that. I actually think Conor's star power in terms of buying power at the moment is as high as it's ever been because it's the comeback story. So even though his last few fights haven't been great, everyone wants to see how he comes back, what weight he's going to fight at. Is he going to even throw a leg kick with that left leg? Remember, that was one of his most famous shots, the straight kick up the middle. Is he going to throw that kick? Has he still got power in the left hand? He's broke his left hand a couple of years ago. Has he still got that same sort of pop in that left hand? Everyone's going to tune in to see how he comes back. It's the second fight. Will people tune into that? Because if he gets battered by Michael Chandler, he ain't going to sell as many pay-per-views. However, if he wins, then it goes through the roof.
Do you think the UFC will try and sign him to a new deal? Because he's got 2 fights left. I know McGregor said that he's a company man, like he'll stay with the UFC, but he's been flirting with, we saw him at Misfits, KSI, McGregor, maybe he may get lost in.
He's not signed in
that realm. Do you think he ends up
I think if
over
McGregor gets beaten by, if McGregor loses that fight, you never see him again. Personally, I think it's just these 2 fights. I actually think McGregor's looking at him thinking, I'm going to win this fight, do what I do, win this fight, which in my opinion he should, because he's the bigger guy. And then I think it's a title fight to cap off his career. I think that's what they'll do. I think Dana will give him a title fight to cap off his career.
And him versus Islam, title versus Pereira.
He'll retire. If he could win a title, he'd retire as champion, and that like Amanda Nunes.
Could you imagine? Right, he beats Chandler. Islam is still the belt holder. Conor versus Islam, title versus career.
I think he gets the title shot regardless who the champion is, because Islam's not going to fight until the fall. So Conor will probably fight September. Islam probably fight in October. That'll be Gaethje. If Gaethje beats him,
Dana doesn't like that idea. Dana's cut the mic.
I think you're looking at Conor fighting in September, and then he'll probably come back Easter 2025, and that'll be his last fight.
I think he'll be done. And I don't think he signs a new contract. I think he goes and fights maybe Misfits or does whatever he wants to do. Maybe fights in Saudi in a boxing match, and he does one more fight after that in UFC. He'll just do a one fight deals, and I think that'll be Nate Diaz.
Yeah, this match I think is going to happen. I think this fight will happen.
I think the trilogy will happen.
I'm looking. I also think Conor will become a stakeholder in TKO, a bit like The Rock has as well.
Yes, he did say that he wants a slice of the pie, and now that they've merged, you can see that he'll probably have a slice of the TKO pie. But so we're convinced that he definitely fights in 2024. There's no way that they're gonna bamboozle another reason.
Yeah, he'll definitely fight this year by Webby Pool later in the year.
Right, I have a feeling he'll fight on the 30th anniversary card, which will be in November, for me.
Shout
at MSG.
Because
he was the first fighter to headline Madison Square Garden when he fought Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah, that's a shout. Because what we got to remember with this new venture that ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery are going to do coming together. I mean, in America, this is huge because these are three massive global businesses in America. Digital platformers and everything, and they're going to make one big sporting, basically streaming service, and it's going to offer all the NFL, NBA, WNBA, like anyone cares, NLRB, NHL. I don't mean that girls don't come. NASCAR, college sport, UFC, PGA Tour, Grand Tennis, the FIFA World Cup, cycling, and much more. So, it might. If they got that brand new streaming service up by the autumn, September, October time, and they got a big UFC card on it, money wise, Dana would be stupid not to put McGregor in that.
Yeah. When it comes to Dana, it makes money and it makes sense. Yeah. Speaking of big UFC cards, guys, where's this announcement for UFC 300? Where is this main event announcement that he
Super Bowl advert? That's why Super Bowl advert.
Oh, when's the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl's weekend,
Sunday, but this video will be out before the Super Bowl. So, guys, where is this announcement that he has promised?
That's what I think he's saving it for. You said it earlier, Luke, about the Super Bowl, and I'm agreeing with you now. I think if you look at it, he's not announced it for a reason. If he's going to do it at the Super Bowl, do you know how much millions they pump in for them adverts?
I think it's like 7 million for like a 30-second advert. 30-second advert, is in the advert because he's done one for Bud Light.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think you get it in the Super Bowl advert. I really do. Because it's where all the new movie trailers are. It's all the TV things.
Yeah.
It's massive. It's huge.
I don't think that's going to happen. Do you know why I don't think it's going to happen? Because I don't think they've got a clue who it is. We're 65, 66 days away from UFC 300. Whoever it is ain't going to get a full training camp. Because I don't think
unless they've started already.
Unless they've started already, I reckon he's told a bunch of people who it could be. Say, get into camp now. Because you may fight at UFC 300. But I reckon he hasn't got a Scooby. I reckon he has not got a clue who's fighting.
I reckon it's Aspinall.
I reckon it's Leon Bilal.
That's so boring if it is.
I know. But remember, was 200's main event. It would not the original main event.
But the thing is, before the Amanda Nunes thing, if you go back on the ratings, everyone stopped watching after the Brock fight. I think everyone stopped watching.
but I don't think that would happen because there's so many stacked fights on this.
Mm.
I think if they sell the Leon fight right, I think they can get people interested in. Not as many as would be interested as like a bigger fight. If they sell it right, because they've got history. There was an eye poke there. Bilal's on a winning run. Leon came out and said he didn't even want to fight him and give him a chance. Bilal's going to talk a bunch of trash.
Yep.
They could get something out of it.
They could, but it's like getting blood out of a stone.
I think the Super Bowl might be where it happens because the Super Bowl's in Vegas as well, isn't it? If I remember rightly.
Yes, it is.
So UFC's in Vegas. It all makes,
it makes sense.
It makes sense, and if you think about it, we've got the 298 coming up as well, and I don't remember the last time I waited so long before we knew the main event or 2 pay-per-views later before 298. So yeah, I think that's why he's not said anything or
I know fighters have teased
anything out because they're trying to keep it hush. And with Tom Aspinall, to keep Tom Aspinall happy that he isn't getting the fight he actually wants,
which you'll never get.
They're going to give him the main event of the biggest show UFC have ever done.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to give him because we know, Callum, that him and Alex Pereira, they've been Instagramming, like teasing that it's going to be him versus Pereira at heavyweight.
Said this, by the way, months ago.
You did, yeah.
Because I think Aspinall said it because they had a press conference, and Aspinall said to his dad, "I think Pereira's eyeing me up.
Yes,
take me." And I'm not going to lie, as like the spectacle of it, Pereira triple champion. Let's be honest, he's getting killed in that.
All right, so Tom Aspinall in his last fight weighing at 261 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The limit is 265. I reckon Pereira. So Pereira obviously fights at 205 now. I reckon Pereira walks around at a 230.
235, yeah.
He's got a chance of beating Aspinall.
I think Aspinall was a little overweight as well for that fight. He even said it himself.
Yeah,
so Aspinall he came off the couch. Aspinall would probably lean down to about 250, 255. Yeah. I'd thought
15 pounds.
Pereira around 230. It's not a lot in it.
Yeah, but we said about Izzy when he fought 205.
Izzy ain't got the frame like Pereira.
His walk around weight was close to a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Like Pereira's weight
skinny though, ain't he? I think Izzy's skinny. I think Pereira's got more of a
Pereira, I think his walk around weight was like 4 pounds heavier than when Stipe fought Francis for the second time.
Yeah, Pereira's got more muscle definition. Pereira's got more bulk than Izzy. Izzy's more skinny. He hasn't got that. He can't put.
I've just got a feeling that Aspinall is going to get him in the round, taken down.
If this fight happened though, and Pereira won, and Pereira's only had like 8 or 9 MMA fights.
The thing is, right? Like it's going to be for the interim belt, and John Jones is going to be licking his lips, saying, "Well, that's another easy."
John Jones Pereira, but
hey, John Jones, I guarantee you, if Pereira won, it'd go, "Yes, Stipe, yeah, go wait a little bit longer, mate. Yeah, I'm going to take that interim belt."
I don't think you would.
He ain't
Stipe's the easier fight.
He's got Pereira looking at him from the other side of the cage with that depth.
Right, check this out though, boys. Yeah, Pereira's 6'4", has a reach of 80 inches. Aspinall 6'5" has a reach of 78 inches.
Mad, there's not a lot in it.
I reckon Pereira not a lot in him, just like Pavlovich stung him, and we thought, Aspinall's got stung, and then he's just going to whack it. Pereira with something that he's not felt, and he's going to go, shit.
I think Tom Aspinall's the heaviest hitter now in the UFC, personally. Like heavyweight, anyway. Not actual heaviest hitter, because who was that guy?
Pfeiffer.
Joe Pfeiffer. We'll touch on him in a bit.
He hit harder than Ngannou.
Yeah.
That's mad.
That's scary.
And he's what, 185?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think Aspinall beats Pereira. I just wouldn't be surprised if Pereira got it done. And you guys know how high I rate Aspinall.
Yeah, and Pereira's dangerous, man.
Pereira's a freak of nature.
He's got angles. He walks you down.
Yeah, he's
leg kick. Go test that knee out. how's that knee really?
Yeah, the only difference is between Aspinall and like Yuri and Blachowicz and Adesanya. If Aspinall takes him down, Aspinall's going to submit him.
Yeah, Aspinall's got a grappling game, and that's
a supremely good grappling game.
Yeah,
the others didn't have anything.
The business.
Like, and the others took him down. If Aspinall takes him down, it will be the heaviest fighter that's been on top of him, and it's the most accomplished.
It'd feel that weight as well.
Yeah, it's gonna feel it.
It would look. I'm trying to think like. It's so many rumors going around about it at the moment that it will just make. I think they're both like Aspinall wants that big title fight against John Jones. That's all he wants. He doesn't understand why he's not getting it. We're not going to see John Jones in that till probably the end of the year, and Stipe will be 57 years of age, brain still wise anyway by then, and it's no one's going to want to watch Stipe Jones. It's going to be a massacre, and then Aspinall fights the winner in 2025 when he's interim champion all the time.
No, we're not fighting no winner, Jamie. We're going to get a double retirement off that fight.
Yeah, they ain't fighting him, Jamie.
So they're just going to give Aspinall the world title after that fight. Is that what we're saying?
Remember when Eric Bischoff gave the belt to Triple H, Jamie?
Yeah, it just came out the next night.
And then John Jones is just going to sit there. Aspinall's going to run through the heavyweight division. He's going to sit there and go, well, he can never call himself the heavyweight GOAT because he never beat me.
Yeah.
That's not fair on Aspinall, though. I think Aspinall deserves to beat John Jones for the title.
Yeah, we know this, Jay.
It's just not right. So maybe Dana's thinking, right, let's just give him the main event of 300.
Yeah, Dana's probably like, pat him on the back and say, don't worry, John, we'll give you an easy fight and you can walk off into the sunset and pop to heart's content. In
my opinion, this version of Aspinall beats this version of John Jones right now.
Absolutely.
Especially at heavyweight. Because John won't be able to take Aspinall down like he took Garden down.
Yeah.
For instance. And
Callum needs to watch out with his comments because next time
he's watching.
Aspinall is a bit easier with it.
Aspinall is literally a 260-pound athlete. And I also think Aspinall would test John Jones' stamina at heavyweight as well.
Yeah.
Because John carries more fat at a heavyweight than he does muscle because of the way he's built.
Yeah. He's bulking up for Francis. He was bulking up for Francis, but that fight it's not happening anymore because you didn't take the fight because you weren't offered enough money apparently. But I just think that you just weren't confident that you could beat him, so you did the Mayweather thing, and you're going to try and claim that you're undefeated, which you're not because you've got an L on your record, mate. That the UFC have tried their best to overturn for you, but they're not going to overturn it because you lost. But with regards to the announcement, do you think it's going to be Super Bowl weekend, gentlemen, or do you think they'll do it like they usually do it, and that's after a pay-per-view?
I think it'll be after it'll be after 298.
Yeah, they'll announce it on the desk
the following weekend, don't it?
Yeah, be like, hey, look, guys, Volkanovski just retained his belt. And look, for the main event for 300, it's going to be Aspinall, Pereira.
They did that for 200, didn't they? When they had the screen and then Lesnar came at the end, didn't they? And Joe Rogan couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Even though leaked it like the week before.
We got £310 Brock Lesnar on everything.
We got Uber Brock. We haven't even got clean Brock. We got the Uber Lesnar.
Everything. Literally everything.
Looked like a beast. And Mark Hunt's not a small man.
No.
When Brock was on top of him, I could not see Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
I think he is. Ridiculous. But we shouldn't actually name him. But there you go.
No, pause. Yeah, so all in agreement. Well, two of you think it's going to be Super Bowl week.
It's either going to be Super Bowl weekend or it's going to be after at 298. It's going to be.
I reckon 298. I'm going to go 298.
I'm going to go 298 as well. I don't think if it was like if it was like Brock return, McGregor return, that's Super Bowl worthy. That's worth paying $7 million for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Leon versus Bilal and Aspinall versus Pereira. Yeah. They're not worth $7 million for 30 seconds.
Also, would it take away from 298 if you did it as well?
Hey, yeah. 298's slowly brewing, but we'll touch on that in probably a preview next week on the lead up to that. because some questions are going to be asked. You know, we're going to see if fighters can back their talk, because that's going to be interesting. But
That'll be a good one, though.
the last topic I'd want to discuss is about, has the UFC product declined? And what I mean by that is, has the way the UFC after COVID, has the product declined since then, in the way that they are still using the Apex? The cards on the Apex are mediocre at best. They are not capitalizing on people being allowed back out and going to open arenas again, packing it out. As the schedule is, they're going to 3 open arenas apart from the numbered cards. They're going to 3 fight nights in stadiums until June. The rest of them are in the Apex. So I'll start off with you, Callum. Has the product declined? Have the UFC gotten lazy, gotten complacent, that they don't need to put the best out because they've got the big contract by ESPN, so they don't need to pump super fights now? Do you think it's declined?
So I don't, but you also used the words there that I was going to use: lazy and complacent. I think the product's got better. The level of fighters are better than they've ever been. I think the production's better than it's ever been. Even in the lead up to fights, like the weigh-in show, I don't know if you guys get to see the weigh-in show. The weigh-in show is one of the shows I look forward to the most, with Sanko and Cormier and Chris Weidman. That show is brilliant.
I do question the knowledge sometimes, where there's like,
yeah,
so top 5 middleweights, and I don't think any of them had Anderson Silva like he was playing golf.
But they have a laugh with it. So the overall product of the UFC is the best it's ever been, but I fully agree that there's a laziness and complacency because they know they've made it. This feels like, and you two will probably know more about this than I will, but this feels like when Vince was running WWE. He knew no matter what crap he put on, he was going to get a certain number of pay-per-view buys, certain number of merch sales. He was going to get deals, commercial deals and sponsorship deals with countries such as Saudi. So no matter how bad the product was, he knew he's still eating good. I think it's like that with the UFC. Now, granted, they could turn around and say, well, look at 298, look how stacked that is. Look at 299, look how stacked that is. I get it. But the bread and butter of UFC are the Apex fights, which used to go on the road. But they got complacent and they got money and business savvy because they thought, well, we've got our own facility. The amount of millions we'll spend on putting on an event in another location, flying the whole production team out, flying the octagon out, setting up and doing all that stuff, we've got that at home
for the fraction of the cost.
Bro, they probably only paid to switch the lights on. Let's be real, because it's not like they're renting the building. They bought that building. They're just paying utilities at this point.
And I feel like, because obviously I'd love to go and watch a fight night in America. So you look at the prices, it's over $2,000 to get there. Like, the Apex has turned into when he can be bothered to turn up.
Yeah, of course.
Dana and mates just turn up to get cushy tickets.
Yeah,
the odd fighter that wants to turn up who's at the PI. Like, COVID was the best thing and the worst thing that happened to the UFC.
Yes, facts.
It was the best thing because it kept going. It didn't shut down. So we had something to look forward to. Obviously, we've got the Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, which are they going to regularly go back to, which they have done. And obviously, the Apex was good for a period. And I know some fighters like fighting in the Apex within a crowd, but they have gotten incredibly lazy.
Yeah.
Like look at the main event for this weekend. Jack Hermansson ranked middleweight versus an unranked Joe Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, the only reason why he's in that main event because he's got a good sub story. and he's got the hardest punch at middleweight. Like, what's this guy done to deserve a main event slot on a fight night?
Where is he actually? Is he completely unranked?
He's unranked, I think, and unless I'm completely wrong, like Joe Pfeiffer's unranked.
He might be like 15.
No, I think he's unranked still. But like,
this is the way I look at it. I think the product of UFC is as good as it ever been. If you look at what they put on the shows, what I think it is, I personally think UFC is stale. And the reason I think it's a bit stale at the moment, in my opinion, every fighter looks exactly the same. They zap the fighters with any kind of personality. They all look exactly the same. I'm sick to death of these underground entrances. It's boring. No fighter has got a personality. That's why they got no superstars. Because no one is allowed to be themselves. You all have to wear the same gear and all this.
They changed it with the shorts, but like,
and there's too many fights. There's too many fights. I'm looking at it right now.
They've got too many mediocre.
We don't need this fight night on the 11th of Feb. We don't need it. It should be UFC 298, and then we got a fight night in Mexico, which I understand why they're doing that. It's got a great main event, right? Then you got another fight night after that against two geezers that just look like they come off the streets of Brooklyn. Then you've got UFC 299, which obviously you need. Then you got another fight night you don't need. Then you got another fight night with Rose in it you don't need. Then you got another fight night. I don't understand them.
But they're all in the Apex, Jamie.
And they're all in the Apex, and the Apex is it's not making these fighters look like superstars because they're fighting in front of 10 people.
Yeah.
It's not the product. The product is big and good as it's ever been. I'll take this from a WWE point of view. WWE's product is as big as it ever been for the last few years. The product's amazing, but it's stale as shit. It's stale as shit. And then they got rid of the old man that made it stale, and now it's, this,
booming again.
This post match conference for WrestleMania tonight is going to be more watched than most of the pay per views this year because it's got so much buzz around it. I don't remember buzz for a UFC pay per view getting as much as this bloody press conference in Vegas for WrestleMania tonight. But it's got more buzz. The Rock's everywhere on media. And this is what I'm saying. UFC's got stale. Dana's got stale. There's too many fights.
That's why I call Dana a casual. But that's why Dana's a casual, because he's more bothered than hanging out with his boys, and now boys giving them 250 grand for their birthday. Instead of paying the fighters a fair amount, he's too busy trying to promote this slap league, the slap fighting, which is for bitches.
He's won, guys. We're not getting it. He's won. His aim when he started the UFC was to make it the biggest fighting organization in the world. He's done that. To become one of the best, if not the best outright promoters. He's done that. To have the best fighters fighting under his umbrella. He's done that. To get the best TV deals for his product. He's done that. To be rich beyond belief. He's done that. In Dana's mind, he's won. So everything else now is new to him. It's literally, he's won every single trophy you can think of as a footballer. He's Michael Jordan. He's now playing baseball. He's doing his Michael Jordan baseball phase. He's gone, that can run in the background. Like, those guys can sort that because it's a machine. I like this slap league. I don't care if anyone else doesn't. I like it. I want to put money into it. Oh, what's this? I want to start doing podcasts with content creators. To hell with MMA journalists. I want my name bigger. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's won. He's won. We can't get him back. The Dana that was there before, that hungry Dana that shut down comments like the Kobe one, that was going to every single event, that wanted the UFC on the road, that Dana's not about anymore. He's not that guy anymore. He's won. He's completed UFC. He's completed it.
Just wish he'd come out and just admit that. It's so frustrating because I still don't think the UFC's peaked. I just don't think the UFC has has even peaked on its potential, but he's so
One FC is better.
like
I think it has-
sidetracked on other projects, like the Slap League, which no one cares about. Like no one cares about, man.
I disagree, bro. I think UFC has peaked. I think it peaked when Conor was at his peak. In the same way, there's so many comparisons with WWE. WWE peaked during the Attitude Era, but then you had the Ruthless Aggression Era, which was still brilliant.
Yeah.
I think we're in the Ruthless Aggression Era of the UFC, which is still brilliant. It's
Yeah.
whether the era after that is going to take the same road that the WWE took.
Yeah, because if you're looking at the news, like who would you say now outside of McGregor you go star?
There ain't
Izzy. Izzy's the only one close.
Yeah, apart from Izzy, but they don't let Izzy be Izzy still. This is what I'm saying. I think Izzy could be bigger than Conor McGregor if you let Izzy be Izzy.
Yeah.
And
I
you
think
let
they're
him
trying
have
to
his own
push Sean
entrances. You
O'Malley
get rid
to
of all
be.
Izzy, you can tell Izzy really likes wrestling. Yeah, he likes pro wrestling. He likes the theatre of it. Yeah. If you let
His
Izzy do
walkout's the
that,
Cannoneer.
yeah,
It's like
you
the
let
Undertaker.
you let Izzy do that. Like he don't like it. So Dana don't like the big entrances with the Titantrons and good music and you know, and video packages and all that playing. Right, he don't like it because you know why I don't like it? Because you have to pay out for it.
Yeah.
Right, and he ain't paying out for it, so you don't have to pay out for someone coming out of a basement. So but you'll lose Izzy if he had that. Could you imagine Izzy coming out on a Monday Night Raw?
Yeah.
Right, and all the fireworks are going off, bang, 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 all the pyro, his own music, him being what he wants to be, his character. It would be massive. It'd be huge. And I think UFC with Dana is missing something there.
That's what Bellator do. It's
Yeah.
the Bellator entrances. Like you got the ramp and everything.
Look what Pride did.
Boxing as well. Even boxing does it.
Yeah. Pride is my favourite ever MMA organisation. It'll never be beaten, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I know it's dodgy as shit. And everyone's allowed to take whatever they want. But, you know, and it was run by the accuser and all that. I get it, but it was amazing to watch. Yeah, them shows are outstanding. And if you think of all the best MMA fighters of all time, they all really came from Pride because they let them be there, they let them be them. They gave them ridiculous entrances. They gave them characters, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And you know, like would Wanderlei Silva be Wanderlei Silva if he stayed at UFC and never went to Pride? You know, would Mirko Krokop was this killer, this scary killer everyone heard about if you weren't watching Pride.
I'm glad
and he
Fedor
came to
never went down
UFC
that
and he
road.
just weren't, and they took everything away from him.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a cop killer. He's not this killer anymore. He's just Mirko Krokop. It's just that's what I see. That's what annoys me with UFC the most. I just wish they just let.
It's like they're just
Shane looks different to everyone else because the way he makes sure he stands out from everyone else.
Yeah.
But how long will that last?
Well, let's just look at PFL and Bellator. They merged, and Don Davis is like, "Yeah, we're going to challenge the UFC. We're going to be there." So what does the UFC do? Take Michael Venom Page and just plucked Kayla Harrison and just she's on UFC 300. So we've just taken your biggest female star because we're not getting Cyborg back. We'll just take your biggest female star. We'll just pop her in the machine and she'll probably, as she may lose to Holly Holm at 300, kill her star power, and boom. PFL and Bellator are scratching their heads because they haven't got another star.
But that's the thing. You've just hit it now on the head. It's a win-win situation because if Kayla comes in and batters Holly Holm, she's a bigger star and she's now a new star in the UFC. If she comes in and Holly Holm batters her, it discredits the PFL and just be like, well, that's definitely the B League because their top female star came in and got beaten by our number 5.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation. If MVP comes in and smokes Kevin Holland, you've got the storyline with Leon, you've got another budding welterweight. If he comes in and Kevin Holland absolutely smokes him, Bellator, the guy that they were pushing, this guy, he couldn't even get past Kevin Holland. guys, the UFC can't lose. They put them in. They're in a position they cannot lose unless there is the craziest of scandals with fighters and Dana and other people. They cannot lose.
Hey, if there's allegations with Vince McMahon, if that can't like stop him, nothing's ever stopping Dana.
Nothing stopping Dana.
Nothing stopping Dana, who I think is on the secret sauce.
And I'll be honest, from a personal level, I like seeing people win. Dana didn't have it easy growing up and all that. He's made himself into a winner. So I admire it. But from the fan side of me, I'm like, just give me more. Because there's so much more in there.
I like what they think is more. It's not what we think is more. Because their version of more, it's like, yeah, we're pushing Sugar Sean O'Malley to be a star. Sugar Sean ain't a star. Like Sugar Sean O'Malley's not a star. You know why? You've had to overload UFC 299 for it to sell out, and then you can claim Sugar Sean O'Malley's the one that sold the pay-per-view. Not Dustin Poirier, Benoit, not MVP versus Kevin Holland. Like, you're pushing stuff people don't want to see. Like, I don't want to see champion jumping up weight divisions before you've even won the freaking belt.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I don't want to see you even considering double champ status until you've at least had about 3 to 4 title defenses.
Yeah.
And then maybe then I'm a bit iffy about it.
Do you know why Dana's gone away from that now, though? Because there ain't the caliber of stars in the rankings now in each division like it was a few years ago.
Yeah,
that's why
you can't make big matches no more. Like, so Dana's very open. That's what I think I said this a while ago, that Dana will look at the rankings for smaller fights and have them fight each other in their ranking order. But when it comes to the big fights, like if you're classed as a superstar in UFC, if you have one fight and you want to challenge for the title, or you want to go over and cross over to a different division, if it makes sense to Dana, he'll do it, because we haven't got the fighter calibers in rankings now that are going to be mind blowing. Like it's just the way it is now. Unfortunately, Dana's become what he said he didn't want to be, like in boxing.
He's become what he's hated.
Yeah, he's
become boxing, and boxing have become the UFC.
Yeah,
put the money on the table to get the fights that people actually want to see.
Yeah,
and like we talk about, I know you just mentioned, Jamie, about positioning fighters that if it makes sense to get a title shot. Like, let's go to MVP. If he beats Kevin Holland, mate, he's literally a fight away from fighting Leon in England.
Yeah, and he's never
because it makes money, makes sense.
If
like, he'll get a title shot quicker than Ian Gary.
Yeah, he will do.
I don't know. I think you'd have to fight twice.
MVP's a big star.
They'll match him up nicely, so you could keep him and Leon.
I don't know if there is a nice fight, because if Kevin Holland's ranked 13, so if he goes in and wins, the highest he'll be ranked is number 12, where Neil Magny is. Above that, all right, Wonderboy is at 7. So let's say he fights Wonderboy and beats Wonderboy after he beats Kevin Holland. Then he goes up to number 7. He's still got Brady. Do you know what? Gilbert Burns or Bilal Muhammad would be the two. You got to keep him away from Rachmanov.
Got to keep him away from Colby, because
I think he'd have to fight. I think he has 3 fights. If he was coming in now and fighting Wonderboy in his first fight, then I'd say Wonderboy and one other. Unless he goes straight for Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
Which, if that was the case, then 2 fights. You guys could be right, actually. If he gets through Holland and then gets Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, because if it makes money, it makes sense.
MVP, if he'll beat Kevin Holland for me, and then he will go ranked probably 13, 12, and then you're looking at a fight with probably Gilbert Burns is ranked 4, and then after that, it'll be a title fight against Leon Edwards.
Yeah,
in England. And
providing Leon keeps the belt, though.
Yeah, and another thing with UFC that annoys me, and they need to start spending more money for me. They don't fight in big enough arenas. I've always said this. They fight in too small of arenas.
Yeah, and that's why Dana can go, look, it's another sellout crowd.
Yeah, well, it's easy to sell out 12,000 at MGM, ain't it? It's not, you know, he keeps going, oh, we sold out MGM again and again. Well, you will do. You live in Vegas. This is where UFC's based, so you go get the same people coming to every event.
What happens about the Los Raiders Stadium? Like, it's where Izzy was like John Jones, Los Raiders Stadium.
They got to fight in bigger arenas.
I think the reason he doesn't is, one, I think he gets paid from certain venues.
Yeah.
Two, it's easier to maintain a venue with up to 15,000 and charge high ticket prices than have, say, an 80,000 he's got to sell out with high to low ticket prices. Because the amount he would have to pay for more security, all the costs would go up. So yes, you'd make money, but the percentage of what you make in profit is not going to be the same as what you make for 15K.
I just find it weird because they're owned by the same parent company now, yeah. And WWE did the Rumble, that was 40-odd thousand. They go do Mania, which is going to be over 100,000, like 80,000 each night. That's mad. 2 nights in a row, and they go have sold out 80,000. It's just madness. Then they go. I don't get it.
Jay, you're right. But I'm going to ask you guys both a question here. Name me 3 fighters in UFC with as big a profile as Roman Reigns, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes.
This is the problem. This is what I'm saying. They haven't got superstars.
Impossible.
This is the issue.
They can sell out 80K with those 3 names. Remember, CM Punk was meant to be the 4th person. They would have had 4 marquee names on that card.
This is the issue. And like people commenting after this video going, we're talking about WWE a lot. WWE and UFC is such a crossover. I think people don't realise it. The crossover. A lot of the WWE fans and UFC fans both cross and watch. You know, and UFC is more like WWE than it is combat sports in boxing or anything like that, because
100%.
UFC sell individual T-shirts for athletes like wrestlers do. You know, you can buy individual merchandise. I don't really think you can buy individual merchandise for boxers. That don't really happen that much.
No.
But unless the boxers sell it themselves, sort of thing, for their own company. But you can buy individual, like, so there is a crossover there, and also they're owned by the same company. So
the crossovers are unreal. Dana and Vince is about as similar as it gets in terms of personas. Vince became an on-camera personality. Dana White is one of the biggest personalities for the UFC.
He's UFC, isn't he?
Exactly. Vince, when he first took over from his dad, bought out all the territories. What's Dana doing? Getting talent from all the territories. Like, they're both the biggest show in their fields. Like, the similarities are just it's actually scary.
It is. There's loads of similarities there. Also, Vince, I think, got UFC the Saudi Arabian gig as well.
Yeah.
Because he was tight with them over there.
Yeah.
He's going to be tight with a prison cell soon. But But there is similarities here, and I just feel like the production of UFC is still top notch. You know, it's the MMA show to watch. There's no doubt about that. Always will be. And when you are number one for that long, and you know there's no real competition out there, it's going to steal any of your fans. You can afford to be stale. WWE was the same. You know, there was no other wrestling company. So if you didn't want to watch wrestling no more, you just didn't watch it, or you just carried on watching WWE. And then when AEW came along, they had to bulk their ideas up a little bit, so they didn't lose any of their fans. So it's what you do. And as you say, UFC, like, no one's watching IFL. Who watched the World Series of Fighting or whatever it was called? Yeah. No one watched them. You know, I used to watch Cage Rage though. I used to go to Cage Rage events every month at Wembley Arena. I used to love that. Yeah, but no one watches these things, and Dana can afford to do what he wants. He's got a whole world in his hands, basically.
He's literally got the palm of combat sports, pretty much, especially the UFC. Like the MMA space is literally in the palm of his hands. Like he can dictate the moves. The rest of the market will follow, unless the PFL and Bellator do something big. If they can take a UFC star in their prime,
I'd like to see a crossover event.
Which
I'd love to
they
see
can't.
a crossover
They
event.
should do, but Dana ain't going to do it because Dana's got too much pride. Because could you imagine what's the biggest crossover fight you could do between Bellator, PFL, and UFC?
Well, PFL, UFC,
Bellator
and one
basically
FC
combined.
come together, and then you get you get Volk against thingy from one FC.
No, I was going to go Derrida versus the Dutch guy. He's fighting a rematch for his light heavyweight belt. Derrida versus Duplessis, because he's arguably one of the best martial artists outside of the UFC. Could you imagine if like a one guy beat a UFC guy?
But again, Dana's got no reason to do it. All the risk would be on his side.
Moans about boxing because there's so many organisations with the WBO, IBF. Why we don't get these big fights in? Like MMA is a sport, boxing is a sport, and they got multiple promotions. UFC is the biggest promotion in their sport. So when he moans, he can't really moan about boxing not doing these things when
it's the same.
It's the same in combat sport in MMA, because UFC is the biggest promotion in MMA. But UFC is not the sport. I think that's what people forget. UFC is just the promotion.
Yeah,
like it's like the IBF or the WBA title in boxing. You know, it's just a. So he won't cross promote because he did it once with pride, and you know, Chuck Liddell got his ass kicked.
He doesn't need to. All the risk would be on his side.
Yeah, exactly.
No need. But anyway,
he did do it with Fedor when he had the chance to go against Lesnar.
Oh, yeah. Fedor would have.
Good
thing Fedor never went to the UFC, because either he would have got exposed or he would have exposed the VP.
Oh, I think Lesnar would have beaten. I think Lesnar would have beaten Fedor
at that point in their careers.
Fedor DC, I reckon the prime DC and the prime Cain Velasquez would have probably beaten Fedor.
Cain Velasquez would have definitely beaten Fedor.
Yeah, Cain was unlike anything I've ever seen in my life.
Cain Velasquez would have taken Fedor to grounds that he's never been in.
That's why John Jones didn't move up to heavyweight at that time.
Yeah, can't call yourself the GOAT if you're not willing to take the difficult challenges. But on that bombshell,
and Cain Velasquez takes prison like a real man, by the way. You know,
well, who's gonna touch him in there, Joe?
No, exactly. Yeah. And everyone respects the man. He did what he should have done as well.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, thank you everyone for watching today. Make sure to hit the like button, share button, and subscribe button. Jamie, let them know where the people can find you.
Yeah, Jamie Phillips Football Chat's where you can find me. All Liverpool Chat if you want to join. All cool. Got videos coming out tomorrow and over the weekend.
Callum, where can the people find you?
You can find me on the Sanderson Show, Team Coppish, here, Jay's channel, and other channels as well when I'm invited and I can make time to go on.
And everyone that's watching, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the other guys as well. And we will see you all very soon.